Hi, my name is Callie Jones, and I'm the Diplomat in Residence for the Central South here at Tulane. I'm a native of New Orleans and a Tulane alum, and this is my resilient story. I was born in New Orleans and went to an all-girls private school where I was one of very few African American students. And while I was there, I always felt that I had a place, but there were small things that indicated to me that maybe not everyone felt the same way. I didn't go to slumber parties. I could never seem to get elected to a position on our student government, even though I desperately wanted to be a part of politics. But it wasn't until I was in 8th grade when a mom of a student actually articulated for me what the problem was. I had heard about prom and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't invited, so I assumed the invitation got lost in the mail. And I found a date, got dressed up, showed up at prom, and the mother was quite clear with me that that was not where I was supposed to be. I explained to her that I went to school and all of my friends were there, and so did my date. And she said to me, "You're confused because we don't have black students that come to prom." And until that very moment, I didn't understand the disconnect that I had, but in that one moment, I finally did. And so I had a choice to make so that I could find a place to fit in. I took the Ben Franklin entrance exam and got in, and I transferred to Ben Franklin. And while I was there, people were these academic powerhouses, and in my view, I still didn't fit in, and so I spent 2 years struggling to find my place at Ben Franklin and decided to return to my other school because I realized that I was comfortable in the environment that I had already known. So I graduated and decided to go to a historically black college. I attended Howard University. And even while attending school at a HBCU where I thought that I would easily fit in, I still didn't find my place. I was rejected from a sorority. I didn't get into organizations because they felt that I was very different and they couldn't understand me. So I spent a few years there, and then I left Howard University early to attend law school. And I came to Tulane, and while I was here, I got a D in my first course, and a professor called me in and said, "I don't think you're made for law school." And my whole life that I had struggled to find a place for me, I still couldn't quite figure it out, despite what I thought would be a welcoming environment at Tulane. And so I went to see another professor who I thought would be helpful in understanding my story. And he said, "Callie, we're gonna get you straight." And I remember being in class and he called on me, and I was absolutely petrified in answering any question despite knowing that I knew the answer because I didn't want to be judged. My entire life was about judgment and something that I wanted to avoid. And so I finished law school without being able to speak in class and still very nervous about who I was. And I joined the Peace Corps, moving away from all cultures and people that I knew, hoping to find a place for me. And it was finally when I was with people who completely didn't understand me that I found my unique American story and knew that despite all of the different things, each of us had our own story, but we had to make it and shape it on our own. And interestingly enough, after spending 2 years abroad and constantly talking about who I was as an American, who I was as someone from New Orleans, who I was as an African American, I thought the perfect place for me would be in the diplomatic corps. I learned about the Foreign Service, and I knew that there was an exam. I prepared for the exam. I studied for several months, as I did for other exams, and I thought for sure I would pass this exam, having studied as much as I did for the bar exam. And when I got the letter, I failed the exam. I was absolutely thrown off because I thought I had gone through this journey to find my place, and here it was, I was being told that this was not my place. So I was very frustrated and upset. I continued to work in my job as a program director at a university, but I decided to take the exam again because I knew that that was what I wanted to do. And I passed the exam the second time, and that was the thing, is that I had spent so much of this time trying to find a place for myself, and it took longer to find the journey for me to find out who I was and my place in life. Personally, was a long journey, but the professional journey was simply a quick fix. I had to wake up the next time the exam was offered and take the exam. And that is how I became a diplomat. And so many students come to me and they ask me the question, how did you become a diplomat? I want to do what you're doing. And the answer, frankly, is it takes a lifelong journey of finding out who you are. And then it also takes just grit in taking the exam. So this is my resilience story. And what I want you to know is that sometimes it's a journey, and sometimes it's just waking up and doing it over again.